Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another podcast session. My name is Byron, aka King Kurt, and I'm joined with my good friend, Celine. Celine, I'm happy to see you. Listen, I am going to put the clip before all of this, so Pearsons is going to know we've been struggling to get this session together. We trying again. This recording been tried and failed so many times. I don't even know what's going on.
My name is Celine Hannah. I'm originally from Grand Bahama.
We've been struggling tooth and nail to get what it is right now. We had to sacrifice. We definitely had to sacrifice for looks because Celine, she looks so much better than how she appears.
I
She looks
promise
good.
y'all. I
Yes.
promise.
She looks so much better. Like this camera is not doing her any justice whatsoever. I wanted to push to get this podcast session up because there's some serious things to talk about. But right now, Celine, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? And we're going to talk about, we're going to be talking about, which is mental and spiritual well-being, dealing with the spiritual aspects and the connection mentally with us as believers in Christ.
Well, like you said, my name is Celine Hannah. I'm
Hi,
originally
Celine.
I'm from Grand Bahama. I can be a little bit silly, as you can see. You're gonna see it throughout the whole podcast. I am graduating from the University of the Bahamas. 6 years. I am tired.
Congratulations, you're almost there.
Okay, this close, literally
This
this close.
close. And I'm just getting started. So imagine me. I just went back studying law, But I'm happy to hit. Hey, I got it. Through time. In due time. Small things.
I am an animal lover. Yeah. Love to bake. Like you mentioned, I'm saved. I'm a Christian.
Yes.
I am a writer as well. That's pretty much it.
Okay. So you wrote, what book did you write?
The book is called Overcoming Fear and Anxiety, Real Hope and Comfort for Teenagers. It's about my experiences with the different fears that are there, like the fear of vulnerability, being afraid to live, stuff like that. And it's something that not a lot of people like to talk about, or not a lot of people may understand. God just led me to write it. He thought it would be a great idea to let others know it, because growing up, I felt like I was the only person going through these things. And hey, he was like, okay, take that knowledge, put it in the book, sell the people.
And has there been, have persons came and told you about the book and how they feel about the book?
So I had this good friend, Frankie. He works in construction, and he had somebody shadowing him for a little while. And he bought the book and he let the kid read it on his break. And he sent me the message that the kid said. He said, does she have any more books? Everything she said, I felt a long time. And he was 17. I was like,
Which is right
wow,
in the
God.
category.
Yeah, I was like, wow. Because I mean, it can be for adults too. As adults,
Of
we're still
course.
learning things. I'm an adult, I'm still learning things. But I was genuinely shocked, because at one point I wasn't even going to put the book out. I was like, but what if it had never reached this kid? What if he never got to see that he wasn't the only one experiencing these things? Like God knows what he's doing. This was very timely.
Okay. I think and I believe honestly that things do happen for a reason. And as you said, you felt led and drawn to write this book. And in a similar way, I felt led and drawn to podcasting in my own way. So here I am. So because we got so derailed so many times, I just want to get straight into it. And my question for you, because you already spoke about your experiences and your struggles so far, what was your experience like as a young kid, battling or what were you struggling with?
I was still a lot, but to be specific,
Mm-hmm.
I struggled with self-image, self-confidence. I struggled with a lot of insecurities. I had a lot of anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts. Those are really just the main things. And then, you get locked into different cycles. So it's like, for example, people were bullying me. So now I felt like extra self-conscious. And then that made me have a lot of anxiety. And it made me feel like no one wanted to be around me. So I got depressed, and then suicide. Like everything was kind of in a circle.
Compounding.
Yeah. So that's really what I struggled with for a long time. And I still have my struggles even today.
Okay.
I've just learned to trust God with it. I've learned to grow and still go out and do things despite my fears.
Yes.
For example, I'm in Toastmasters Club, so that's public speaking. And
Yes.
let me tell you, your girl does not like speaking in public. I
But
would
here
in
you
my
are.
presentation, like literally in my presentations, I'd be right there drenched in sweat. But I decided to face my fear head on, and
Mhm.
I did a competition. I came third. I actually placed. I got a little trophy. It's so cute. And so that means a lot to me because growing up, I would never like looking forward. If you had told me I would have done that, I would not believe you. So still have finding the courage to do what you want to or need to,
Yes.
decide how you feel.
I think, and I want to say, first of all, I commend and I appreciate you being so transparent about you still struggling because some persons will believe that once you're in the party is a party and it's not really a party, you know? It's like one big club, and once you're part of the club, like, I'm already and I've went through the hardship now, it's game over when in reality is more or less like, okay, you thought this is bad? Now wait until you get inside. You're gonna see what's really going on.
Literally. And it's like that with God too. You think once you get saved, all your problems solved. No. As a matter of
Now it's
fact,
just
for me,
harder to exist.
yes, it is be like, okay, I'm saved. And then you be on that spiritual high when you first get saved, like, oh, I can do anything. I have such great faith. I trust
Unstoppable.
God. And then and then your trials and tribulations come
Then reality hit and
and you
you
get a
live in real
breakup.
life.
Like, what? But that's how it is. And it's okay. Because I don't mean God's not faithful. It doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It's just, it's life. Life
Hmm.
is hard. People be like, oh, you saved, so your life can be harder. You can't do this. You can't do that, etc., etc. Life is way harder without God than what? Because, okay. So, for example, you get in a car accident. This is one of my previous mentors. He was in a car accident. He was driving his truck. It was a lightning storm. The wire snapped on the power line and is about to hit his car during the
Hmm.
lightning storm. And somehow, some way, it didn't hit him. And like before he thought he was about to die, he was
Yeah.
like, "Oh my gosh, his wife and his children." So it's like God stopped it. Like you and people be like, "Oh, that was just coincidence or whatever." Okay, you stay right there with your
Like
coincidence.
coincidence. Right.
Right, because some of these things people's be living through, that's literally God, and some of them don't wanna admit it, but anyway.
No, they want to admit it, and that's on them. I admit it in my own life, in my story and my
Yeah.
experience. So, yeah, keeping me for about 22 years or 21 years while having a tumor in my brain from a child is crazy. And at any point in time, it could have stopped and I would have had a seizure and died. So, you know,
Look at
eh,
you,
call that
alive and
a,
healthy.
call that a quote unquote coincidence for 21 years. No, I don't know about all of that. Lightning don't strike twice, but lightning was striking every day in my life.
Mhm.
So, what I want to get on in the first segment is going to be faith versus mental struggle, and it's going to get real right off the bat.
It's
And
okay.
it's going to get real. I get into the nitty gritty. Anybody who knows me, I dig in all up in there. So, my first question to you is: can you believe in God and still feel broken?
Wow, okay, so, honestly, I'm trying to find the right way to put it. For me personally, I have. So, like I mentioned, I went through a lot, and when I say the phrase, "A house divided against itself cannot stand?"
Yes.
That was literally me. I was literally going against myself after seeing so many people go against me. I took that on myself.
Hmm.
So I was kind of belittling and destroying myself at the same time, be like, I believe in God. However, I felt that I wasn't good enough to do what he called me to do. I felt like I wasn't enough. I wasn't competent enough to do what I needed to do. And I got heartbreak from my different people around me. So I'm thinking, wow, no one could love me. I can't even love myself. God say he loved me, but I don't believe it because I have never seen anybody love me. So I came into this place where I felt broken. I felt like all this anxiety and all the mistakes that I made, I felt like there was no overcoming that or getting through that. So I was very much broken. And at one point, I just was walking around existing like I wasn't living anymore. I was kind of like a robot, just manually doing things, going about my day, but I was still really hurting inside. And so at some point, I had no other choice but to make the decision to trust God with my brokenness. to trust him to fix and to heal what was going on with me. You can feel however you can, however you want to, but we all have to make that choice whether to stay the same or to change. So for me, I was broken, but I believed in God, but I didn't trust him with what was going. I didn't trust him with my brokenness.
It's funny you say that because I think about it all the time. Everybody should know this, but a lot of persons don't know that God never leaves you. You leave God or you step away from him and he waits for you and he waits for your submission. And sometimes you really would toil and push and work very hard. And sometimes you just need to submit to him.
Yeah,
And submission could be praying to him. Submission could be following his rules and his commandments, or really just communicating with him because he isn't going to just reach out to you unless
I
you
mean,
reach out to
can,
him
but
first. He can, but that takes away the whole perspective of choice and free will. You have to willingly submit to him for him to. You have to start the conversation. He ain't gonna start the conversation with you all the time. Some people,
if you seek him, he will find him. So we have to seek. We have to
you
put
have
in
to
that
seek him
effort.
out. And even in seeking him, seeking his submission, because you ain't gonna seek nothing you don't want, which is really interesting. That persons that'll seek him to contradict him really end up being closer to him than they ever realize. But that's neither here nor there. My next question for you is, did you ever feel guilty for struggling mentally as a Christian?
Yes. So when I was growing up, I never saw anxiety. I never saw people who dealt with depression. I had no idea
What it looked
some of my
like?
family members dealt with that as well. I didn't know about the struggle part. I only saw the successful part. I only saw, oh, everybody love God. Everybody say he's been good to them, but I didn't understand how. I saw that, oh, we worship him, we pray, et cetera, et cetera. But I never saw the reality of it. I feel like we need to be more open with the harsh realities of how we feel. I didn't know we weren't gonna always feel like reading the Bible or praying or spending time with God. I had no idea. I just thought, okay, we wake up because we love God, we're just gonna do it, you know? But that's false. It's not true. Some days you're gonna be so oppressed by the enemy or you're just so down that sometimes you can only open your eyes and say, God help me. And to be honest, that's more than enough sometimes, you know? So I didn't see any of that. So I did feel guilty. I felt like I was letting God down. I was letting myself down. I was very disappointed. I felt like, oh my gosh, I should be able to be strong. And, in learning what it really means to be strong is like, okay, God, I haven't gotten it right. You have to be transparent and be vulnerable. I haven't gotten it right. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it, but I know you are all knowing. Lord, if you could just help me, that would be, great. But I didn't come to that point in my life for a really long time. So I spent a lot of time in condemnation.
Okay,
And if you know the difference between condemnation and conviction,
very different.
conviction is God correcting you. Condemnation is every other lie, then it comes from the enemy. He's trying to make you feel like because of your faults, like God is gonna just scold you, just purely scold you for it. There's no correction. It's just
Hmm.
making you feel bad. So that's what it was. I was living under condemnation.
Wow. Self-inflicted shame and
Yes.
guilt. Because you ain't getting it from the Bible. You can't get it from the Bible if you don't believe. So you really just feel it within your bones, which is much worse.
And you believe in it's true, but it's
You
a
really
lie.
do believe in you really do believe it because it's a feeling thing, right? We're going to speak
Yeah.
about it. If you're not in the spiritual realm, you're spiritual dead. The only thing that exists is the physical. So everything
Mhm.
in your tangible experience is on full forge guilt and shame. And anybody that battled with guilt and shame will tell you like it's a
Yep.
hard thing. It really
Yeah.
makes you socially isolate from persons and stay away from people, and you'll indirectly stay away from persons that could help you and help you in the Christian faith.
Yeah. I
And
remember that.
you remember that? What was that like for you?
I remember that whenever I would be feeling down. So I'm gonna be completely transparent here. I did something called self-persecution.
Okay.
If I let God down or if I let myself down or if I just wasn't getting something, because other people ridiculed me for it, I started doing it on my own.
Okay.
And I did different things I shouldn't have, and I pushed the people away who were able to talk me out of it, who were able to correct me and say, "Hey, you are human, you make mistakes, it happens," and they will be able to help me. Because I felt like I was undeserving of the help, especially during my depression and suicidal moments,
Yes.
I pushed those people away who could help me. But I kid you not, in that room where I was crying about to take my own life, God always sent somebody. Like, I used to try and block certain people, but he would use one person I didn't block or try to remove.
Other person or an alternative.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
And so that's how it was. I know people think, "Oh, you just need you just have issues, you just need to suck it up." But when you're in it, you cannot think clearly. Or even if you are thinking clearly, you choose. And I chose not to do the right thing
Mhm.
because I felt like I needed to be punished for whatever the case have been.
Mhm.
So it's not a good feeling. It's not a good place to be, and I strongly discourage anyone who does that because there's grace, and God would never be like, okay, just because you can't do it doesn't mean. I mean, means that you aren't good enough for me, and He doesn't want to be around you no more. That's not the case.
That contradicts his word, and he stays true to his
Literally,
word.
God never contradicts himself. That's why we really
Exactly.
need to know God, man. That's why we really need to know his character and have that
Mhm.
experience with him. Because majority of the time it's us thinking these things and the enemy putting those thoughts in our head and our hearts. And it's not true. It's a false sense of guilt. It's condemnation. Literally.
Delusion. I I think in my own experience, I'm still struggling with some stuff as well. I think all Christians struggle with something, which is just human nature. We're still in flesh, and our flesh is going to be inclined to do some things.
Mhm.
But I've also been in circumstances and situations time and time again where I would be doing some things that I didn't want to be doing and I shouldn't be doing. And I would feel some kind of way. I'd feel
Mhm.
guilt. Or not really guilt, but I'd feel conviction. But I couldn't bring myself to stop.
Mhm.
Someone would either come physically get me like in the house, and this is a rare occurrence with persons that actually come into my room. Persons will knock on my door for random reasons. Persons will call my phone for random reasons. Video call, in fact. And I'm like, who video calls me? Why are you doing that? Who you is? Or my other Grammy will call me like sometimes people will call me one time and I wouldn't answer, but like, I could deal with that later. And they'll call me 3, 4 times. So I'm like, what going on? And I would be there like in disbelief. Like in disbelief. I won't go too personal because, I have family and what's not. And I don't want to get into the personal lives, but like in one crazy way, when I was talking to someone or planning on doing something, something major happened. And it was like, I was so shell shocked. Like I couldn't even like think. It was no time to think. I had to act and like go help my Grammy. So I also had to realize and recognize, I'm like, oh, wow, like it don't happen all the time, but it's definitely God. God has sent persons. If He realize like, hey, you really have the yes, you have your foot in the sand at this point. Me
You
send
need
someone
help.
to dig you up. You need some help, and it's good that despite you trying to run away from those people, they still in other ways checked up on you.
One thing you can't run away from God. Jonah
No,
tried it. Jonah tried it. Jonah
I
tried it.
did. I did. I've tried many times. In roles of leadership and responsibility, I tried to run. I still try to run sometimes because I'm like, I'm tired. You know what I mean?
You know what it looks like to God? I just got this analogy in my head just now. You know, like how people's be running on the treadmill but not going nowhere.
Yeah, that's me. That's me. And God kind of just watching that from the side, like, wow, just look at you. You're doing so good. You're doing so good. Just keep up the good work. And I would there like, man, I tired. And they're like, yeah, no. Just keep going. You can slow down the pace, but like you stay on that treadmill. You stay on that treadmill and you'll get there someday, buddy. You getting strong. Look at you. They're
Man.
frustrated and sweating and mumbling to myself, saying like, I don't even understand all of this nonsense. I know why I walking and doing all of this
Thanks.
stupidness. That's how serious it is. And I think a lot of persons actually don't realize it. Like, and I keep telling people this, I've been saying this so much for the past 2 weeks. I would talk to God and either I get an instant response before I even finish my sentence, or I don't hear nothing at all. I'd have to wait
Yep.
in action for things to manifest. And I'd be there, like I actually would be like talking, and after I finish praying, I'd be like, he ain't even answering me no how. I'm gonna lay back down and go sleep because I'd be frustrated.
But sometimes our spirit is no, even when we asking God.
That's exactly what I'm saying. My spirit from the Holy Spirit within was like, yeah, you know what it was. What you asking a stupid question for? You wasting the call. Like, there's a other
I'm
person that's
screaming.
probably need this line for help, and you're on here asking questions. You know what I answer? Come off this line.
I'm screaming.
Come off this line. Yeah, I wasting customer service in heaven. I wasting the time for customer service or the angel
Customer
service.
service is crazy work.
God is not a servant to us. He's our father. I mean, yeah, I don't want to misrepresent that, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
So my second segment, or before I go into the second segment, I have one more question in that segment on the faith and mental struggle. And it would be, what do Christians get wrong about mental health?
That is interesting. I'm trying to find the right angle because I think it varies. I know we have things like we're in the Bahamas. There are some cultural Bahamian aspects that
And
influence that
misrepresenting.
because some of the older generation, some, not all, I've met some very understanding older people. I don't want to say old
Yes.
people, but the other generation, some of them understand that, they understand that sometimes you do really just have to talk to God and trust Him. Sometimes there are physical things that you need to do. If you need to get fit, like a lot of people don't want to go to therapy. I went to therapy. I went to
I
secret
did too.
therapy.
Me
I
too.
went to secret therapy and she helped me speak through it and learning to communicate, to understand what you're feeling and communicate that properly to others. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people could teach that. I
Hmm.
think, going to therapy for stuff like that is helpful because some of the older generation, I actually did a survey on it for a project that I was working on, a passion project I was working on. And I asked a question, like, what are some phrases people say when you're trying to be open and honest about how you're feeling? They'd be like, "Oh, just go pray about it," and just send them off, like, and stuff like, "You gotta be a man, you gotta man up, you gotta. It ain't that serious, it ain't that deep." And I'm just like, we're just dismissing what people feeling. So I feel like that cultural aspect, that's a part of it. Some people use the faith thing, and I do in quotations because they'd be like, simply just go pray, but they wouldn't be willing to listen to what the person say.
Right.
And which fruit of the spirit is that? Just sending people off and not trying to hear what they trying to say.
None
Like
of the
that,
fruit of
like
the spirit being used.
not saying that there's nothing in the Bible that can help. Well, the Bible definitely has information that can help us, but we
Yes.
need a little bit more. Why, if I come to you, if I come to, let's say you're my father, Baron. Let's just say I come to you saying, man raped me. And you had experience with that before, saying somebody tried to come on you, but you don't want to share that information with me.
Go pray
So
about
you
it.
say, just go deal with it. He's like, that didn't happen. You don't know
That
what you're
is
talking about.
wild. That
You
is
don't know what you're talking
wild.
about. Don't repeat this to nobody.
This crazy girl. That's it right there. This crazy girl.
No, and it's so serious.
It
It's
is wrong.
ridiculous.
It is
And
wrong.
then if it did happen, they'd be like, "Oh, forgive." Okay, I can forgive, but we need to deal with what's going on now because that's trauma.
You know,
We're not gonna dismiss that.
no, we can't dismiss it, but we
We
try
can't.
to. But one thing the
So
Bible already
yeah.
does say is this, and I'm probably going to misquote it, so I'm going to say it in my own words. Christians suffer because of their lack of knowledge.
Yeah, what we just talked about the other day, we perish for the lack of knowledge. We
Exactly,
do.
that is it right
We
there.
so important, and that's why we need to educate ourselves for real, not only in
Not
the Bible,
only
but just in general.
exactly, people may
That
think that
emotional maturity, that emotional intelligence, we
it's
need
not
that.
there. It's
We need
needed,
it!
but it's not there.
My
It's
goodness.
not there. This is why I'm a person. I do read, and through reading, it transitions into me conversating, and it's so many things in life that compounds into other things, and even on a spiritual level, it all adds up. Which is why God, I'm sure in the Bible, all things go towards the good in the long term, basically. Right? What you put in is what you put out, or what you sow is what you reap. You say it that way. And if you are doing it and you have a pure heart, the only thing that's going to come out is pure. But if you have an impure heart, you're going to have impure actions and impure fruit, quite
Mhm.
frankly. So for me, when I'm reading books, if I'm reading books or I'm doing research on psychological or mental well being, subconsciously, I'm going to think about how can I relate this to my reality? How is this synonymous with what I'm experiencing? How am I
Mhm.
going to be able to relay this information to someone else who may be experiencing this so I could help them? And others, they read it and it just go in one ear or the next, or go straight past their face. And Christians and non-Christians alike, most persons don't read. So this is why most people aren't knowledgeable. And I think it's a coping mechanism for someone to just say, just pray about it, because they don't want to tell you not to do anything, and they don't want to give you the wrong
Mhm.
impression or say the wrong thing. So the
Yeah.
only thing they can do is tell you to pray about it, because they don't know what else to do. They probably suffer too, and they're too proud to say that they suffer
Yeah.
too. It's
Yep.
sad, but
It is. We need healing. We need to pray for our need. We need to pray for our
we
people.
need to seek out wisdom. We need to stop being silly. I think that's really what it is. We need to just stop
I
being silly.
I'm
Just
sorry, that sounds
saying,
funny to me.
just saying, cry and praying, or just better yet, don't even just push through. Silly. It's absolute silliness. Anyway, so I'm gonna get a little bit into your story and a little bit of how that was going. And my first question for you is, what was your lowest point mentally in life?
I had a lot of them.
The
They were
lowest.
all different. I'm trying to think. Okay. I think the lowest would have been, I think it was when I first moved to Nassau, and I came here full of faith, strong, thinking that, okay, because God have me, God keep me, because he brought me, he's gonna get me. He did get me through it, mind you. But I thought,
You thought that was enough. You thought
I
you
thought
was
I wouldn't
fully
have
loaded.
any trouble,
Right.
boy, I was through the ringer. I was living with girls who were nasty. The girls say F me. I say, what? Just because she didn't like me? And some people just ain't gonna like you for no reason. The place we staying wasn't really safe. It's supposed to be a
Mm-hmm.
safe house. It wasn't safe.
Mm-hmm.
I was dealing a lot with my schooling. And to be honest, every semester it gets so bad. Like at the very end, it gets really bad. So I was starting to drop out every semester. I just be like, I'm not into it.
Yeah.
I was at that point where I had 1,000 things to do. And then I got like these intense migraines. And I just felt so defeated. I felt really, really low. I was already writing my letter. I was like, babe, I don't know how I'm gonna get through it. I don't know how I let this happen. There was like 1,000 things happen. I couldn't pinpoint it. And then I got reminded that I had depressive episodes before.
Mm-hmm.
And I think after so many of them that I've had over the years of my life, I was disappointed that I was having one now. And it made me feel like I could never get through, that I will always live a life where I get these heavy depressive episodes. I thought I was over it.
And it came
And
worse.
yeah, so whenever it comes back, it always comes with the history of what made me depressed those other times and that level. It's crazy. And so it wasn't just the one event, it was everything coming back at me.
Mm-hmm.
And I got in my car and I went speeding on the highway. I went speeding on, was it JFK? No, it was the airport highway.
Okay.
That one. And I was just speeding. I was just like, I can line one of these poles. One of them.
Wow.
But but when I say God literally never leaves you nor forsake you, he whenever I would try to end my life, either my arms just go numb or something is go wrong where I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
He either brings back a memory, uses somebody, or he just physically I feel held, like I can't do it. So that's what it
Yes.
feels like. It feels like his arms are over me and I can't do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't do it. So I pulled over. I was like, why are you keeping me here? Like, what? I can't do this mentally. And so after throwing my tantrum, I say, okay. Because I didn't say anything to anybody. What I usually give a little hint. I didn't say anything to anybody. And then God reminded me of my partner, my boyfriend, Ray. I was like, you don't even know what's going on with you right now. You chose not
Imagine
to
that.
speak to him. And that's what caused me to get a little teary because he's been like my rock. He's always there praying for me. He's been fasting with me. Whenever I be going through something, he literally pulled up into the schoolyard to go sit with me and hold me and pray for me. I've never had somebody like that.
That's a
And so
beautiful
all
thing.
I could think, it really is all I could think was I leaving him behind with no clue no nothing. And usually I don't care when I leave people behind, but when I had him in my life, I was like, oh my
It felt
gosh.
different because this
It
person really
was
cared.
more than I've ever experienced. And then I started thinking about other people who were just like completely oblivious to what was going on with me. And then, just to get the call, I felt sick to my stomach. I think that was the first time I ever considered other people whenever I wanted to take my life. So
Wow.
that was the lowest point, and it's ever since then. I spoke to Ray when I got home. He was sad, but
You
he was just
couldn't
about to
tell
lose me,
me.
and ain't nothing,
Yeah.
ain't saying nothing. So
Blindsided.
right, and so after that, God reminded me like, hey, it is gonna get rough, but He will always bring me through. Like even now, recently, I've been in a bad place, and God's just been reminding me like, hey, every time I wake up, He's like, I still here, like just continue to trust me. I got you. Like I don't know what He have for my life, but He have me here trusting Him for a reason. So
Yes.
that was the worst it's ever been, but it was also the most valuable because my perspective changed. And now even if I feel like I'm getting there, I'm like, okay, God, this is how I'm feeling. Do something, please.
Do
I
something about
can't do
it.
nothing. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna do it. I'm just gonna continue to read, continue to pray,
And bring
and
it to you.
I'm trusting that you're gonna solve whatever's going on.
Okay. That's a beautiful, beautiful and very transparent, very raw take, honestly. Celine, I appreciate that because I'm sure a lot of persons have these moments throughout life and throughout history. And even myself, I may not have been in a circumstance to take my own life, but I would self neglect. And I think that's the
Yeah,
way that persons will very much undermine. I would, to some extent, not eat, not really come out, not really
same,
shower. I don't get up to brush my teeth. I don't talk to anyone. I just like stay in my room. And it's really
literally.
bad. It is
Yeah,
bad. It's bad. And I think one of my lowest points was, of course, when I got diagnosed and I basically stopped talking. And for the most part, I spoke more to God than anybody else in that time. And I spoke to you. I'm sure you remember me in those moments.
yeah,
I spoke very minimally. I was always online, of course, because there's
yeah.
nothing else for me to do, but I wasn't talking to anyone because no one could help me. And I felt like in my mind, I did feel alone. I did feel entrapped, and I did feel like I felt a level of nihilism, like everything was meaningless. I was watching on YouTube, watching about mortgage management, and I'm like, why am I watching this? This is pointless. I ain't got no mortgage. I ain't got no mortgage. And I was like, oh wow, that's a nice car. Why watching a video on cars? I ain't get to have one of these cars anyway. That's how bad it was. After that, I would cut it off and I would really do like I'll always be reminded like I'd be thinking I guess I wasn't praying like direct, but I was definitely thinking to God and I'd be saying to my mom like God, why you like why? Just why? Why? Not even why this happening to me, but why suffering? Why you couldn't have just
Take
and
care of it.
mind you, I prayed to him about it and I was like, God, if I need to be able to walk out of this and I need to be able to function and strong, there's no way I'm a 21-year-old and I would to come out of this alive, but I, something wrong with me. Like I can't walk or I can't talk or I can't function. I say, I rather go. Don't leave me here on earth.
Mhm.
I rather go. And I said that with tears in my eyes and I passed out and I go on sleep right after that. I was very serious. Never prayed about it after that. So with that being said, like that was my lowest point. Ever, I never been lower than that ever since. It was a very completely different experience for me. And just like what you said, I experienced it. If I have things that kind of remind me or like take me back to what has me here today, the starting point and the flashing point, it can really overwhelm you and it could take a hold of you. So that's why you need brothers and sisters in Christ, and you have to have persons in your circle that is trustworthy and they know who you are and they know what you've been through to hold your hand through that and pray for you and really talk to you and like reach out to you because otherwise you'd be like a boat without any sail and no rope. You just blowing away. You cast away
Mhm.
and you're liable to fall victim to any and anything.
Everything, yep.
Yeah.
As you were speaking about your experience, I remembered the man Job from the
Okay.
Bible. You remember the enemy went to God asking to do whatever to him.
Yes.
And God said, you do whatever you want, you just can't take his life.
That's exactly
And those who know the story remember his wife. He said some
his
people be like,
own
you
wife
couldn't
was
take the
like,
wife. She was where she said, just curse God and die. What?
like, my gosh, and that was so relatable because, like, I literally was there suffering. I mean, suffering. I watching people on their status, literally partying, having the time of their life. So many things happening to them, so many blessings, so much prosperity, and I would deal with things going in my vein and stuff. And I was like, I can't understand, like,
But the thing about that is we need to understand that bad things don't just happen to us just for bad things happen to us sake.
no,
Sometimes we will lose loved ones and we'd be like, but God, we pray for them to stay. So why they gone? Why you do this? God always have a plan.
hmm
Certain things happen for our development sometimes. And definitely our testimony, God knew what he was doing when he had you through that season. And now you've grown to trust him. Now you've grown to have more faith. Now that if somebody had gone to you with the same situation, you would be able to offer comfort and
you can.
you can sympathize with that. You can empathize with that because you've been through the same thing. And they can look at you an example like, oh my gosh, this person went through it and look at him. Look at him. And that's how
Honestly,
it is sometimes. Sometimes we experience these bad things so that we can reach other people. I
yes.
experience things like depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, and the people that I've encountered along the way who deal with that, I was able to comfort. I didn't have anybody to do that for me who experienced
hmm
those things at that level,
hmm
but God chose me, He used me, and it all works for His glory.
And here you are now.
Here I am now. It hurt.
Of
My heart was
course.
broken. I was in pain, but it's not always going to be like that.
No.
There is the light at the end of the tunnel.
There is light at the end of the tunnel, and I think you just have to persevere. You remember, keep running on the treadmill. You can get there someday. You can get strong. I think the mis-
You can get
the
strong now. You
that's
will get
exactly
strong.
what it is. I think people think that there's a destination, there's an end game. In reality, it's not. It really is just it's a journey. It's an
It
experience.
is endurance.
It is like it's not like people like to think it's like you're running for a marathon to get to a finish line, when in reality you're running just for the love of the game, just for the love of God. You have to change your perspective on it. You're doing it because you love
Yes,
God.
perspective is very important. We
We need
need
to
to,
change the perspective on it. You
because
don't
now
run,
people looking at it like, oh, wait, why you serving God and all this stuff happening to you?
or
That's
better
so
yet,
short sighted.
why am I you if you serving God, He ain't gonna get you everything you want in life. So what? What if I'm not doing it to get what I want in life? I'm doing it hoping maybe I could get it, but I'm doing it because the reason is this man is all I have. This man is the best
At
person
the
I've
end
actually
of the
care
day,
of.
he really is all you have. And it'd be like, and so sometimes you ever see people talk about that in the video and they'd be like, why would a man come down from heaven to go be embarrassed and persecuted and disgraced in front of all these people, die for our sins? Why would he do that?
Man,
And not knowing that all of the people in the world aren't going to choose him at the end of the day.
regardless. I even said that on my status, I think, the other day, and I said it just like this. I said, if the man of a perfect man came to earth and we killed him, me who am perfect, what can I expect? We ruined so
These
many
people,
good things.
these people,
Humans, we ruined some of the worst things ever known to man.
even suck. That's
And
okay.
human nature is we just gonna mess things up, and people mess things up for themselves. But
Yeah.
I guess grace was afforded, which is why they killed him on the cross, and now
The
grace
Bible
is
says
afforded
grace
us.
is sufficient.
Yeah, grace is enough. And it came from us killing him because they was like, wow, God literally is like, wow, I sent my one son and y'all kill him. Like, y'all need me for real.
I mean, that's what he was here for, to die for us. He knew that how the world was going and say, okay, we can need that was like a what do you call it? Contingency.
Yeah, that was literally the contingency plan built in, built in on a
Literally.
constitutional level. He was like, you know what? I think y'all need this because when I tried the first time, I gave y'all rules and instructions and a guideline. It all just was dying. So now let me try something else. I send y'all, now let me send someone to show you all how to live. And then he was like, oh, y'all kill him. So, okay, yeah, y'all really just need me. Y'all need me. Y'all need me in so many
More
ways.
than ever. Can't even
Y'all
breathe
just
without him.
no.
Like,
Y'all can't even breathe. Y'all just clueless. Y'all so silly. Anyway, the question what I have for you now is, what did that season actually feel like day to day when it was your lowest point?
it was dark. And I felt like a walking contradiction because I knew the word, I knew God. He has always come through for me. And here I am in this depressive state, not trusting him, you know?
Yes,
So I felt like a walking contradiction. And it was days where like things would be getting worse. Sometimes I just have to stay in bed, not talk to anybody. And then you didn't want people really to notice. So I was kind of like putting on a facade.
yes,
I didn't want people to notice what was going on with me. So I either kept myself or I had to put on a fake smile or whatever to go.
and feel
Just cause like,
hypocritical about it too, right?
yeah, cause I don't want nobody talking to me about this. No, go away, leave me alone. 'Cause that's what it felt like. I felt like I was disappointing God. And sometimes he would be a little bit quiet and I'd be like, "Yeah, you just proven my point." I'd be talking out my head and be like, "You just proved my point that, I don't deserve this. I don't deserve to be alive," or whatever, whatever. I
Hmm.
remember I used to pray and ask God to take me in my sleep. And I was so mad one day when I woke up and I was still out. I was like,
Yeah, man.
why?
I still here. Gosh, now you got to go through
I
my day.
I just could like see God and Jesus be like, "Yeah, really no,
Like just like
no,
that? Yeah,
just like that."
yeah. Like you really think you that ready to like go just like that? That's what happened to me when I spoke about it, and God revealed it to me. God was like, "You saying that, but
No,
you ain't really gonna like where you going, you know. So you should kind of."
ain't even that. It ain't even solely that. It's like we still have a purpose. I feel like in being
That is
wrapped
it
up in
too.
ourselves, we still have a job to
Ain't
do.
done
Yeah,
yet. Yeah, you ain't done yet. You
yeah.
ain't even doing nothing
God
yet.
still need us. And then feelings are temporary. I saw this post. It's like don't make a permanent decision based off a temporary feeling.
Hmm.
And that's when we wrapped up in that cloud of depression and anxiety and whatever else it is. We just thinking about us solely. We ain't thinking about, well, like if I died before I put out my book, I ain't thinking about the people that God needed to reach through that book. I ain't thinking about that. It would have been very selfish of me. I never used to understand, like people used to say, killing yourself is selfish. I never used to understand
Until you
until I
experience it
got that
yourself.
perspective. I was like, oh. And then what about the kids that I wanted to have when I got married?
Hmm.
What about them? God have you going through certain things. God make you a certain way for a reason. You have a role to play. So
Yes.
if you go, now what?
Not a book never get written, not a story never been told, and not a next generation of you.
It's an effect. It's like a domino effect.
It is literally a domino effect, and it's by God's design. So at that point, you're like, wow, you really are selfish, aren't you?
Yeah, I was like, dread.
It really gave you a different perspective, right?
But I'm
So I'm happy once again. I can't say this enough. I'm so happy that you're comfortable talking to me on this podcast and sharing your experience. Quite frankly, it takes a lot of courage. And I think Toastmasters really did help as well, leading you up to this point without you even recognizing. So I commend you once again. Now, I want to move on to spiritual bypassing. And it's not like I've one or two questions, nothing too crazy. But
yeah.
the first question I will ask you is, did people ever tell you to just pray about it? And I'm sure I already get that answer. So what was going
Yeah.
on in your mind when you heard it? Like when you heard like when the words landed on your ear, what did that feel like for you?
I think I got frustrated because it was never like at the beginning that I didn't pray. It was never like I didn't have, you know,
You
that
did what you were
relationship with
taught to
God to
do.
pray. Yeah. I did what I was taught to do. But I was like, I need something else. Like this ain't I
It
need
ain't
something.
it.
I don't know what it is, but just praying and then moving on. But it's also, like trusting and sometimes getting advice helps.
Yes.
Sometimes talking to people who experience similar things gives you a different perspective and, sympathize with you because, you feeling all over the place. And
And you
sometimes
feel
some
like you're
things,
the only one.
yeah, sometimes, you need to know that it's okay. We experience these things. It's normal. You're not insane in the membrane, as people say.
I think this is really interesting because I would constantly think to myself, and I thought about this for a long time from a young age in regards to relationships, like intimate relationships, of course.
Yeah.
I would, of course, not be inclined to like chase after relationships because in my mind, I didn't see its purpose or its need except for, wanting to have kids and uh having needs and things of that sort. But what I'm starting to realize also is just like what you're saying, you need to have someone and you need to have a person that actually knows your story and someone to be witness to your
Mhm.
story. Because if you don't, these stories that you have will go in vain and you will be blowing around. You don't have someone that knows you and they could tell you when you're going astray. They, because it's more than just having the smiley, the romantic relationships and having the
Right.
intimate moments. It's really partnership and having someone to walk alongside you. Hopefully they're equally yoked because you would walk in circles, but having someone that's equally yoked to you is helpful and that's the purpose. People undermine it, having that person to walk alongside, and that was something that I undermined. Okay, I will tell people, and I keep telling people this. I'd be like, "Oh, as much as I want a relationship, I still pushing my purpose, and I still trying to do some things." And a
Mhm.
person told me this before. She's like, "Well, you could do that in a relationship," and I was like, "No, it doesn't make any sense because, like, you can't." You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
like now, as I pray about it and I live and I kind of witness other persons in relationships, married couple, people that are, engaged in different stages, and I ask and I talk to them, I would kind of see, like, try to understand what's the purpose? Why are they there? And it made me realize that maybe I just wasn't being vulnerable enough with the people that I was with before I was entrusting, and I just didn't trust them, which is a good thing. But now, because I'm more aware, I'm more vulnerable or more willing to be vulnerable and allow persons in on these stories, on these experiences, other than going on dates and holding hands and talking and laughing and smiling, the good stuff, but really showing persons that I'm a human and allowing them to not only console in me, but just be there. Because it's one thing to be struggling and have people around. At least you have people around, but it's the next thing to be struggling and ain't no one around. That's when you're liable to do anything. I mean,
I mean
anything.
everything.
I can't imagine me being sick and not having anyone around. I used to be in that moment. I still was like, they don't need to come. But it would have been so much worse if I didn't have no one. So much worse. Now, my question is, let me make sure I have the question right. Okay, when does faith help versus when does it avoid the problem?
Wait, from my interpretation, you're asking when does faith help you with what you're going through versus when people use faith
To cope.
to cope.
Okay, so when is faith helpful versus when is faith a coping mechanism? When they make it overly spiritual, where
Hmm.
it's really more simpler than it is. When do you think that happens?
Hmm. So I know faith is definitely helpful when you're going through it and you just have to trust God that He's going to carry you through it from what you know Him to be, which you know Him to be a father, that He's going to be a provider, a protector, a keeper. And the fact that He's done it before and He's done it for the people in the Bible we've seen Him doing healing, we've seen Him do miracles, we've seen Him make ways when there was literally no ways.
Yes.
So knowing that information, believing in God that that's who He is, that's when that's helpful because he raised people from the dead, babe. And you think he can't help me get through what I going through? Really?
Mhm.
Really? So that's when faith can be helpful, just being reminded of what he's done and for you personally and in the Bible and what he can do, what he's capable of doing, because God is more than able. And when you're using it as a coping mechanism, I think what I did was sometimes I would ignore what I was feeling and I would just be going through the motions of just reading and praying, reading and praying, reading and
Routine.
praying. Yes, I became kind of like a robot with that. And, in when I was growing up, when I saw that I didn't see any weakness, I only saw what I thought was strength. I didn't see any sign of that, okay, you're human. So things are going to affect you. It's
Yes.
normal. I didn't see that too much. So I saw, okay, I have to be strong. I have to have it all together. I have to, believe in God. So if I believe in God, I'm not going to experience these things. That was the mindset that I thought. So I feel like holding on to that did more damage than good
Yes.
because I thought I was just so out of it that, I'm not doing this Christian walk right if I feeling these things. And it's not that I don't trust God, it's just that I'm human. So if I'm going through something, I'm gonna be sad. I'm gonna cry about it. I'm going to be a little down, and that's okay. It's okay to feel what you're feeling. It's just not okay to stay there. So that was kind of my mindset. So I feel like then it was like holding on to just the spiritual side and ignoring so much of the mental and human side,
Okay.
That was
Now,
for
my
me.
question for you, based off of what you're saying as a follow up almost, what would you tell young persons today that are confused whether it is them avoiding the problem or if it's a lack of faith?
I think taking some time to process what's going on is very important. That's what I would tell them. I would ask them to reevaluate certain things. Do you believe in God? Do you believe that He is more than able and capable in your life? Do you trust Him enough to give Him your situation, not knowing how it's going to turn out? That's what I would ask them to reflect on. I ask them to take the time to process what you're feeling. Do you feel like you trusting him, but you just need a little bit more help? Because there is a scripture that says, Lord, I believe, but help my unbelief.
Yes.
Lord, I'm trusting you with it, but I need a little bit more help, you know? So is it that what you're feeling? Do you feel like it's completely hopeless and that God can't deliver, that He can't be in your life, that
Hmm.
He can't get you through? If that's how you need to know how you feel. And it's okay to not fully understand how you feel at that moment.
Right.
Take as much time as you need. I feel like people always want results. People need you to have that answer right then
Instant
and there.
gratification.
And that's not humanly possible. If you could do it, kudos to you.
Whoop
But
de doo.
I need to sit and reflect and see what I'm really feeling. Cause like I say, feelings are temporary. I need to see if maybe I just need a nap, a snack and a nap, and then just start again tomorrow,
Exactly.
or this is something that is really, really bothering me to my core that I need time to get through. And it's okay to need time. So that's what I would really ask them to reflect on, and based on their answer, they can determine it from that. If it's a faith thing that you don't believe God is able, definitely pray for them.
Yes.
Because if you believe in God and you don't think He's able to do it, you and God need to have a little powwow. You need to read because
Hmm.
there are so many situations in the Bible where, like the woman with the issue of blood,
Yes.
she's been dealing with that for so many years. But just that one last resort of hope, that little bit that she had left. People say faith of a mustard seed. Just
Yes.
that little bit, just some small,
Just one touch.
just one touch. And she got that and she was healed. Sometimes you just need to just hold on a little bit longer. And that's all we need to do.
I also have a scripture that I keep dear to my heart. Sometimes I always put it in my own words so I can remember, but it is Romans 8 and 11, and I have it on my phone. So I'm going to read it for you, just for all the persons that haven't heard it before. My favorite scripture. If the same spirit within inside you right now brought someone from death, you don't think it could heal you? You don't think it could undo whatever damage? You don't think it could solve your problems?
Mhm.
Like, you don't think that's possible? Like, the
Sometimes you
one
just
per
need to wait, babe. Just
you
just
just
wait
need
a little bit.
patience. You really do need patience. Now, you could ask for, some strength to push through. You could
Of
ask for
course.
some divine interventions, or you could
Yeah.
ask for some partnership. But you ain't believe that you could make it out? Like,
And
really, you
sometimes
don't
when you in it, you can't see clearly. Sometimes when
No.
you in it, all you see is darkness. So that
That's
stuff
why you
like
need
that is
partnership.
understandable. It's
Yes.
understandable. However, that's the difference. You can understand it and still decide to stay there, or you can understand it, process how you're feeling, and decide to move forward because you trust God. He
Yes.
promised to give us a life and life more abundantly, a good life. And so it's not just going to be full of suffering. We will suffer, mind you. We will suffer for a little while. It's- We'll get through. And so it's so much easier to say when you're not going through it, though. I'll
Yeah,
be
easier
completely
said
honest.
than
It's
done.
so much easier. It's so much easier when you're not going through anything.
Haven't you
But
experienced that? Where people, say, yeah, man, you can make it through. You strong, Celine. You're still like, oh, yeah,
I'd be like,
right.
yeah. It's showing my face. It's showing me. I'm like, you.
You saying that to hate yourself. You can't be saying that to me.
And to be fair, that was like Tinkelberg. That was
Yeah.
me.
That's how it was for me too. People calling me and saying, "Oh yeah, man, Byron, you're gonna be good. You could push through this. You could, you know, you're so strong." And I was listening. My eyes used to be closed, and I smiled, and I just stopped listening. I'm like,
But that's the beauty of it though. Like when you in it and you don't see it and then you come out and God show you why you had to wait, why you had to suffer,
yeah,
that is strengthen, that is bring you strength, babe. And you just strengthen your faith in him
yeah,
because even with the Egyptians in Exodus, they were suffering for a long time
a
under
long
slavery.
time.
And people were still praying and praying and praying.
They never lost faith.
God's timing is for a reason.
Hmm.
I know we used to be like, why we still suffering? God know what he doing. Let's just ignore. Let's just take out the notion that God don't know what he doing. He know what he doing. His way of thinking is different than ours. It's higher than ours.
Hmm.
He knows what he's doing. Yeah, we can suffer for a while, but it's he has a plan. And so afterwards, when all that suffering is done and we reach glory, we reach the
Yeah,
other side, it is makes sense. Like, oh, you did this for X, Y, and Z reason. And that's how it is.
it is what it is, and that is how it is by His divine design from day one. I think that's really beautiful. People don't realize that from day one, God put together all these things and these fail safes and this knowledge and wisdom from Him. He just, just spoke the words and these things came in reality. We just had to discover it for ourselves.
But you also have
Um,
to be humble and deny yourself through
yes,
that
because
process.
arrogance is very pride and
You don't know
arrogance.
more than God.
You
Nobody
don't,
know
oh, no,
more than God.
no. But what you do know comes from God. You have to recognize and be like, yeah,
But
this
sometimes what you think you know, you have to correct that way of thinking.
well, that's why you have persons around you who know the word too, and you got a peer review. You got a peer
That's a
review.
fair review.
You have to have a peer reviewed idea. Sometimes you could have idea for yourself, but if you get it peer reviewed to see if it makes sense, because sometimes it's be crazy, but like it ain't
Yeah.
crazy to everyone. It's crazy to your peer reviewed study.
But hey, and I think that's why you gotta sometimes talk about how you feeling sometimes because what you feeling sometimes it don't sound right when it come out. Sometimes
You
it's
may
good
just be
and
freaking
then
out.
like, huh, they be
You be
like,
like, maybe, yeah, exactly. So you say, yeah, that's how you feel? Huh? That's crazy.
no, for real. Sometimes we just like even the teachers in high school, in primary school, used to say, "Babe, she was like, I don't know why y'all don't want to raise your hands. If you get it wrong, get all that garbage out now, so we can let you know what's
Yeah,
right."
yeah.
Literally,
Not me, not me. I be, yeah, and I still kept my on now. Now, sometimes I used to ask, and then when I ask the wrong question, everybody be like, oh, and then that's when I go in me against the world. I rowing 20 turn one crank. I ain't care.
don't
But
listen, say the answer with your whole chest now.
what? Class over after that. We would have a whole argument. We ain't even learning no more.
I'm screaming.
Okay. So this next segment, because I said the last segment was quick, this segment is going to be on practical healing.
Okay.
And I'll also speak on this because I've done some practical things, but I want to hear from your perspective. What daily habits actually helped your mind to heal?
Praying first thing in the morning.
Okay.
Just being able to acknowledge God, acknowledge Him, ask Him to intervene throughout my entire day to my mind, cover my mind, to protect my heart, all these things that impact what you could be thinking and feeling throughout the day. Actually reading scripture. Sometimes I listen to mini sermons, like the little mini ones. Like I love listening to Stephen Furtick.
Okay.
He's a white guy in the States who I feel like he not only knows the word, he knows how to reach young people, and he's also
Yes.
very honest about the harder things that not a lot of pastors talk about. I know they just talk speaking on the word, and that's okay. But
Yes.
also making that connection between what's happening now, what's happening with young people and people in general, that emotional side, combining it with scripture. I
Mm-hmm.
like it. I make it an intentional effort to journal while I'm doing my devotion.
Yes.
So I'll read a word and then I'll journal. I'll listen to some gospel. But when I journal, I not only write out how I'm feeling, I'm writing out like if it had to do with a scripture based on something that I'm feeling. Like for example, First Peter 5:7, cast all your anxieties to him because he cares for you. When I
Yes.
write that scripture out, I'm writing what it means to me in general, what it means to me right now. I'm processing it and just telling God, like, hey, I'm struggling right now. I'm feeling a lot of anxiety, but
Mhm.
I know you are a healer. I know you are the comforter. So while I am not to the point where I'm over it yet, I'm striving to get to that point.
And I
So
trust and faith.
it just helps me really forge that relationship I have with him,
S
reinforce it.
All it is, they have that positive reinforcement. I think that's exactly what he wants. Keeps the
And
connection
it does
strong.
help.
It really
Yeah, and then
does.
I was even doing my devotion this morning and I was thinking like dread. I have a lot of stuff to do. I was a little bit anxious, but when I'm sitting with him and reading and I feel like all that weight is off. Like I feel like I'm not so anxious. I'm calmer.
Yes.
I'm comforted when I'm with him.
Okay. I appreciate that. I I've started doing similar things. One thing for sure, I would pray. I personally just pray in my car or in the shower, depending
Mm,
on if I'm going to the gym or not. But I do pray in the morning, and I just talk to him, and I just really make it adamant where I give thanks to him. I'm just so grateful for him and what he's doing and what he continues to do. So I make it very important that I pray to him, and then when I can, I do also read a scripture or two or read a chapter and get it all in. And that has impacted my life, I will say it has, and made me mentally heal and improve for
mhm.
sure. Now, my next question for you is, how do you deal with overthinking now?
So sometimes I feel like I've come to the point where I just let it roll for a bit. Like I'll let the thoughts just roll for a bit just so we could get it out. And because I know once that's finished, I'd be like, okay, I catch sense now. Let me just
Yeah.
go to God. But there are certain things I don't let roll, especially like if I make a mistake, I know I have to shut down whatever thoughts come because it's thoughts like, oh, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're incompetent. Why can't you get this right? Just any
Hmm.
form of belittling myself, I have to cut that right away because I know that once I start thinking like that, I start to believe it real fast.
Yeah.
So it's those belittling thoughts. When I say I let the other thoughts roll, overthinking is something so dumb. It's a girl thing. Like I'd be like, what do I wear? I'd be like, but if I wear this, it's gonna cause this. Because like if I wear a dress and it's blowing, I don't know if it's gonna be windy. It's just gonna blow up, and I don't want people to look at.
Exactly.
So it's like all these things. I'd be like, okay, just relax. At someone, I'm like, okay, that's it. You got all that out.
We still got to get dressed now.
We wasting time. We just gotta just grab this shirt. Sometimes I just come out the house looking like a little boy. Like I'll have my sweatpants and my baggy shirt and my tennis. I'd be comfortable though. And I ain't have no issue with the wind. So
A win is a win.
a win is a win. So stuff like that. Sometimes it depends on you as well. Like if you know you're not the kind of person that's so easily influenced by those kind of thoughts, that's different. I know,
Yeah.
like, for certain things, it influences me way more. You gotta know what works for you. You can't just let those kind of thoughts flow because then those are like little seeds just being planted and
Hmm.
then it grow and then it's caused a whole nother issue. I remember I let it happen so bad that I was actually supposed to go to church. I put on this dress and I could see all my belly and stuff. Mind you, it wasn't even that bad, but I was just so insecure. I literally burst into tears
Hmm.
and I did not go to church. I took it off and I stayed home. And I'm
What
like,
just happened?
I just was, I've never, it was so weird because I was just in the mirror looking at myself and I couldn't think of one good thing to think about myself. I was just in tears in that mirror. I didn't even want to talk to God about what just happened. I just went to sleep.
Hmm.
And eventually I had to talk to somebody about it. It was my boyfriend. I was like, babe. He's like, why do you feel like that? Like you are beautiful. And then you have to remember you telling God that he made something ugly, like
And
he
that's
made
just not the
something.
case.
And I was like, "Whoa." I had that realization the other day, actually. I was like, "Wait, I this in his creation? Maybe he was creating him in his image." So when I say about God, you know,
God probably was right there like this. He's like,
really now.
not even
God,
really.
like,
He just more or less just like just radio science.
hey,
Like what I put you here for? Why make you? If that's what like chef's kiss, mind you, give you a
uh,
5-star meal and a person, and this the meal itself just want to just say it's the garbage.
hey, garbage juice, but not even garbage, hot garbage juice.
Well, listen. I think for me, right? Because you mentioned it, you said people experience different things.
Yeah.
I think for me personally, my thing would be if I'm talking to someone, I would overthink what persons say to me.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Of course, sticks and stones might break the bones, but words will never hurt me. Far from the truth. Words
Mhm.
can affect you, and words can stick with you. And some things persons would have said, still I carry and I think about. But
Yes.
what I also would do is not deny it immediately, but I would really analyze myself and think
Yeah,
to myself, okay, is this applicable? Is this true? Is this something that I can do something about? For
yeah.
example, my sister would have said something in regards to how I was treating someone and the media ministry that I'm in and how I was passionate, but like how serious I was or how stern I was with the persons. And she said, like, I'm, I, I'm a bit stern and I have to remember that I'm talking to people and I wasn't rude, but I was really stern.
Mm,
And I had to sit down and think also, not only about what I said, but also filter what she was saying that may have been her opinion about who I am and not overthink everything what she said or take it too literal because that would be something that I would do as well. Take things that
yeah.
people said to a T and be like, yeah, it's absolutely true. But I allow myself a room or a contained environment for me to feel whatever it is, process and understand, and then move on with, okay, is this applicable or not? And that
Sometimes
has
you have
helped.
to do that for real.
You have to. It's healthy. You have to. It also keeps your brain functioning and fresh to
Mhm.
know that you can self-reflect and you can discern whether it's you or what is in you and what is in of you and what is in of God. And you have to practice that skill and keep that alive.
Yeah.
And now I want to move on to the next question. The next question I have for you is, what role did God realistically play in your healing? Like, was there a
Boy,
moment?
at this point, how big of a role he played, I wasn't even now. I wasn't even now. It was just him. Like,
He wasn't
realistically
there at
speaking,
all, right?
I wasn't even now. I wasn't even on the island. I was away. I was out to lunch. I don't know. He brought me to so many places that I never thought I'd have to come to, especially in realizing certain things.
Mhm.
I had to really learn who he was because the way I was treated, I took that and was like, God, this is how God treated me. I didn't trust people because of what they did, and I ended up not trusting God
And blaming him, actually.
and blaming him. And I had to come, he showed me that that was like a false idea of who he was.
Mhm.
And I had to come to this place where I needed to seek him and learn who he was and trust him because I had trust issues. I had like father issues at the time.
Okay.
And so it was hard to see God loving me in a different way.
Mhm.
But I have to remember that God isn't these people on earth. He's perfect. He doesn't make fun of me. He doesn't make me feel bad for things that are out of my control. He's not impatient with me. He treats me very kindly. And he understands. Sometimes you trying to explain yourself to people and, because if they understand, you think they'd be compassionate. But even if they do understand, they're still not compassionate. God is
Yeah.
compassionate. He understands what is going on. He understands why it's going on. He
Mhm.
understands all of this. So I had to come to know him a little bit. And then he led me to a group of young people who he was able to speak through and minister to me about things that I needed to correct in myself because I wasn't just experiencing things, I was doing things to other people. And so now I had to humble myself and realize, okay, God, what else have I been doing based off my trauma that has hurt other people?
Yes.
And I was very ashamed of it. I was very ashamed of the person I became, but he led me to not be so prideful that I couldn't go to them and apologize. I had to have some very uncomfortable conversations with people,
Yes.
and I had to apologize because hurt people hurt people.
Yes.
One thing that's big about me that I honestly feel is from God, the way that I was treated, I never want people to be treated. So
Right.
if I have lashed out on someone or if I said something that was offensive, God is going to convict me and I'm going to go to that person and apologize. It takes nothing for you to be apologized except it humbles you. And some people, they have too much pride, so they don't
They
wanna be
can't be
humbled.
humbled. Yeah, they're
No.
insufferable.
But I appreciate that about God because that means he's preventing my heart from being hardened and that
Yes.
he can still make sure that he is able to use me. Because
Mhm.
I can't go and apologize to somebody.
Man, you
That
wrong. You
shows a lot.
can
When,
yeah.
especially when I wrong. It doesn't matter if it's a misunderstanding or anything. I hurt you. I have to apologize. I have to.
Mhm.
Because what if I want justification from other people and they too prideful to apologize to me and they do me worse? Like what? You can't be a certain way with other people. So he's helped me to be humble. He's shown me, even in dreams and stuff, he's shown me that he really has like divine protection over me. An
Yes.
example that I love to use is with Moses. They put Moses as a baby in a basket and put it down in the river.
Full of crocodiles, by the way.
The basket could have turned over, the baby could have drowned. When God, even with Jesus, Jesus sent his family away to go other places so because the king wanted to kill him. He wanted to kill all these little boys, all these little children. So it's like even him reminding me of that word, it's showing me that no matter what I go through, I'll always be protected and covered. God always do
Yes.
that. You don't ever have a plan for your life without that divine protection over you.
Mhm.
God has been able to teach me. I had to learn about he helped me to learn about mental health because to me, those demons, they just was loud in my ears. They was just
Yes.
loud, loud, loud. I didn't even have a voice anymore and he revealed what was going on. Sometimes I could see their influence over my life, and that would draw me to pray against that, to be strong enough and be willing to pray that God take care of that situation. So he's played a role of protecting mostly and teaching.
Mhm.
There were a lot of things that I didn't know, and it made me feel like I was way behind in life. And some people were willing to teach me, but they weren't willing to be patient.
Yes.
God was my teacher in that sense, and now I can teach with patience as well whenever I need to. So he really helps. I always say God never lets you go a certain time without knowing anything. He's been that good to me. So he's been a teacher, he's been a comforter.
Mhm.
And my healing journey, of course he's healed, but it didn't look the way that I thought it would. He
What do
helped
you
me
mean?
learn to I thought my healing would look like I was just gonna be okay one day. I was just gonna be completely fine and normal and not have
Sunshine and
any
lollipops and
and
rainbows and all the
rainbows,
good
babe.
stuff. I mean, that sound like heaven, but you on earth, so I mean,
But
I think you
no,
got the wrong
literally.
idea.
No, seriously. So even though I still go through things, I'm healed in a way that I wouldn't let that phase me. I won't let it discourage me. It wouldn't let it steer me away from God. Because at one point I was like, God, I give up Christianity. I'm not gonna follow you anymore because this is too much for me. I literally said that to God. Literally. Surprised I'm not striked, but I literally
Mhm.
said that to him. None of it and it kind of my healing journey kind of fueled my desire to help others experience healing,
Okay.
to experience the goodness of God, to have the experience what they don't need to live every day being depressed or having a certain mindset. God healed my mind. He healed my mindset. So now I have a different perspective on different things and
Okay.
I can walk in a way that I'm able to function. Like, you talked about functioning. I'm able to function now. That's my version of healing.
Which is
So even
truth.
though
That
I
is
still
what
go
healing
through
is.
things, I'm able to do that. Yeah, but I thought I would never go through anything anyway. Nobody could ever hurt my feelings again. I didn't like me and God wouldn't have to have our daily God, I struggling kind of talks, but it happens. It's a normal thing.
I think persons tend to forget that we are flesh and blood and we have impressions and things that are imprinted onto us. And
Yeah.
throughout time, we learn some things, but you don't forget or your body doesn't lose memory of certain experiences, certain feelings, and you just learn to bear them. And that's why we pray for God for strength. We don't pray to pass or we pray for strength to carry on and to pursue and go forward because your body ain't gonna forget when certain things happen to you. If you got beaten before, if you were abused, if you were attacked, if you were shot, if you were traumatized, your body's never going to
Yep.
forget those experiences.
Ooh.
But,
Yes.
but through God, you're given the strength to not be anchored by something as simple And I could say it in simple comparison to God, something as simple as feeling
Yeah,
lack of dopamine, cortisol level boost. So for me, we are running out of time, unfortunate, and we're gonna have another part two at another day for sure. But
definitely.
I think persons wholeheartedly need to be aware that God does heal, and He
Mhm.
put things in flesh and blood in human form, person sent into your life to heal, like even for
Mhm.
relationships. And that was a question I want to get into, and I'm going to ask you in the next session when we can. Some people believe that they need to be fully healed to be in a relationship, and it's just far from the truth.
No, I'm a walking testament of that.
It's far from the truth. You don't need to be perfect, and you'll never be perfect. So you shouldn't even be concerned more about that. Just focus, and God does send someone if you need them, and they can help you, but you have to be willing to submit. If you could submit to God, then you could submit these issues or you could express yourself wholeheartedly, and they can they could hold your hand through these experiences and say, hey, what you're feeling, I understand. It's okay. I'm here. Like, God is there, and that's God is all you need, but sometimes you really want someone to hold your hand and someone to hug you when you're crying or when you're having a
Yeah,
really bad day, and that's what He sends people there for, and
yeah.
that's what I learned over the past 2 to 3 years after my journey, and I go forward with that understanding and interactions. I come as whole as I can and as pure as I can because I
Mhm.
realize how valuable it is to be genuine and real and how lacking it is, and people need that.
And all of that is growth, and that's
Yes.
another way that God has healed me. I was able to grow. I was able to learn from my mistakes. I was able to learn from the previous perspectives that I had and
Mhm.
transition to what I am now. And that's all because of him.
It is. Glory be to God.
Literally.
But do you have anything else you wanna say, Celine, before I wrap up?
I'm very grateful for being here, to be
Yes.
honest. I am grateful that you saw that I had some unique perspective. I hate being vulnerable. I hate being transparent. But
Yes.
at this point, I was like, I realized that, okay, God, I know that you had me go into this thing so I could talk about it. I can't be embarrassed or ashamed of it. It's helpful. So thank you for the opportunity to also get this out as well.
Despite the comfort and despite the feeling of
Yeah.
discomfort and the nervousness, I'm
Nobody know your
happy.
business.
Listen, I understand totally. I was
Yeah.
like that also. In fact, I had this idea in my mind that I like to be portrayed as almost untouchable and perfect. Like that's how I lived my life for such a long time. So I wouldn't tell people when I was struggling. So even now, when people see me, they be like, "You just make it look easy. Like you just is be doing things that." I just be telling, I be like, boy, you ain't got a clue in the world. But
Screaming.
you know what I used to say? I used to be like, yeah, man, because you know what it is? I was the chosen one, the best to ever do
Yeah.
it. But now I'd be like, yeah, I still say, because I'm the chosen one. Who else you want to do it? I mean, it ain't easy. I can make it look easy, but it ain't easy. No?
No.
But I
Yeah.
thank you so much, Celine. I really do appreciate your transparency. I can't say that enough. Despite the difficult attempts we tried to get
Yeah.
this talk out, I'm happy that we made it through this first session, and I'm looking forward to another session with you in the future, because
Yeah.
we've touched on quite a bit of things, and I have literally another segment to touch on, and I'm gonna add on to it in the next. But if you don't have anything else to say, no, I will say thank you officially. Thank you so much for coming on to the Redemption Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Celine. My name is Baron, aka King Kurt, and I thank you for participating and indulging in the Redemption Podcast. Now you all have a good day.